Every time a founder walks into a pitch meeting, every single time, somewhere deep in their gut, they carry a question no one dares to voice out loud. What aren't the general partners telling me? Because let's be real, the world of venture capital isn't like a clear, open book. It's more like a shadow realm where the rules shift, where the cards are stacked, and where the truth is draped beneath layers of smiles, nods, and polished phrases. If you're a general partner or an investor, you already know that. You sense it every time you sit across from a founder who's bright eyed but hasn't yet seen the game behind the curtain, hasn't felt the cold reality beneath the warmth of the handshake. The first thing that often gets swept under the rug is the brutal truth about alignment. It's not just about whether you and the founders share a vision or goals. No, it's far more nuanced. Founders think a deal means a partnership with shared destiny, but too often, general partners enter with invisible agendas, milestones that matter more for their optics than the founder's real growth, exit horizons that cut the lifespan of a company down to quarters, even personal risk thresholds that nobody talks about openly. Founders dream of transforming the world, yet GPs sometimes see the startup merely as a high yield number on a spreadsheet. That disconnect festers beneath polite words. It can crush passion quicker than any market downturn. Then there's the grip of control. Founders imagine freedom when taking money, but what comes next can be shockingly different. Board seats aren't just about governance, they give GPs a subtle leash on the founder's own creation. The way decisions get funneled, the pressure to steer companies according to exits, valuations, or trends, not the radical mission the founder started with. This slowly suffocates that original fire. And if you think founders don't realize this, think again. They feel it painfully, at night, in moments of doubt, but they don't always know how to voice it. Scaling up is supposed to be a blessing, but here's a truth often glossed over. Scaling too fast, chasing growth for growth's sake, can burn a company to ash. GPs want momentum. Liquidity events are their currency, but founders need time to build something lasting. A community, a culture, a real product that sticks, not just a one-hit wonder rocket. Yet pitch decks rarely include a chapter on how investors' eagerness can become a silent hand pushing founders to sprint when the real prize waits for calculated patience. Money talks loudest, but it's the silent pressures that break founders most. Every funding round adds new ears, new expectations, and often a detoxification of radical ideas into safe, investable prototypes. General partners should tell founders openly how investors collectively become sculptors, sometimes reshaping vision into something unrecognizable. But the script is nearly always play the part of the encouraging partner, because who wants to admit your idea, your baby, might get compromised before it even grows up? Founders deserve more honesty, more real talk. Stress isn't a side effect, it's a core part of this journey. But underneath those pressure cooker days, what gnaws is isolation. Founders feel expected to carry the weight of entire companies, millions of dollars, teams, future employees' livelihoods. Yet many GPs don't talk about how these relentless expectations impact mental health, how loneliness can erode creativity and resolve, and how a founder left without genuine, aligned support becomes a ticking time bomb. That silence, not just about dollars but about humanity, is the hardest thing of all. Now imagine flipping the script. Imagine a world where general partners speak these silent truths and do more than nod while founders suffer in silence. What if, instead of quietly pushing growth at any cost, GPs ask the real, raw questions? Is this founder burning at a sustainable pace? Do their values truly align? Can this team thrive as human beings first and a growing company second? If that honesty was normal, if transparency wasn't a risky move but the foundation, it would shatter the tired patterns of burnout, disillusionment, and wasted potential. Here's the thing many miss. Investing isn't just about money. It's about the power to shape culture and innovation in ways that respect the founder's humanity. When GPs stop viewing investments as mere transactions and start seeing them as commitments to shared transformation, the game changes completely. Suddenly, patience becomes a weapon, not an obstacle. The pressure to hit artificial milestones fades, replaced by a focus on authentic progress. Founders can dare to be wildly creative, fiercely individual, without the constant fear of losing control. If general partners can challenge themselves to hold space for contradictions instead of forcing tidy narratives, they'll unlock something rare: the chance to invest in visionaries who refuse compromise, who dare to break molds rather than fit into pre-made boxes. The founders who burn rather than bend, who stare at the impossible not with fear, but with hunger. This isn't about vague ideals, but concrete actions. More flexible terms, governance structures that give founders actual latitude, emotional support networks that aren't just perks, but integral parts of investment strategy. Because it turns out, compassion and rigor aren't opposites. They're a potent combination that fuels real impact. Another hidden truth. The real magic happens when misaligned brilliance finds alignment through trusted, fierce partnership. But too often, founders and investors move in echo chambers, limited by preset assumptions about success and failure. What if GPs committed to a relentless curiosity, questioning everything they thought they knew about markets, products, and people? What if they expanded their lens beyond traditional metrics, beyond uniform growth, into nuanced, systemic value creation that honors different kinds of success? Founders are ready for that challenge. They crave partners who dare to ask uncomfortable questions and don't settle for easy answers. At the core, this is a call to reclaim the founding spirit that once made building companies revolutionary. Raw, unpredictable, and deeply human. The venture world can't keep spinning on illusions, that this is just about business as usual, that startup owners are data points first and people second, that success is only about exits and multiples. To change that, GPs need to be unapologetically real, unflinchingly supportive, and ruthlessly patient. Because when founders and investors break the silence together, openly recognizing the gaps, pain, and fears behind the polished presentations, they ignite new possibilities. The kind of possibility that doesn't fit into PowerPoint slides, but resonates in actions, culture, and a future where the rare get the space they deserve. Where difference is honored, individuality is power, and the few who dare to step beyond the system are free to remold reality itself. That vision isn't naive, it's urgent. It's necessary. It's waiting for those willing to disrupt the game by telling the untold truths, by holding the hard conversations, and by building networks that don't dilute, but amplify the rare, the radical, the unstoppable. Because what general partners are not telling founders, this silent gap between what's said and what's real, is exactly the place where real transformation begins. The moment comes when the power shifts from silent control to shared empowerment. When investing stops being a question of contracts and capital, and becomes a matter of trust, respect, and shared risk. When founders stop living borrowed lives dictated by power structures and begin crafting legacies shaped by vision, value, and real connection. That moment is possible. It's waiting just beyond the smoke and mirrors. It demands courage from both sides, investors ready to shed old scripts, founders ready to demand truth, and a refusal to settle for anything less than deeply human partnership. Because the greatest risk isn't in failing, it's in living within the cage built by silence, half-truths, and misaligned expectations. And that's the real secret. Not negotiation tactics, not capital stacks, but a shared commitment to break that cage forever. The rare don't wait. They refuse to be prisoners of illusion. So here's the challenge. Start holding that space. Start being the voice that says, "This is the truth you need to hear, even if it burns." Because only then can founders and general partners build something not just successful, but soulful, not just profitable, but powerful, not just rare, but revolutionary. And that's the future waiting to be built.